told you the best-selling car of the 1960s was not just an artifact, but a symbol of rebellion and power that roared through the era and popular culture. That specific car was the Chevy Impala, a car whose sales crossed the 1 million mark in a year. But what made the Impala so legendary? Was it the mind-blowing engine, the sleek design, or perhaps we should list the role that hot rod had in the drag racing and lowrider community? Want to take a closer look at what made the Chevy Impala the ruler of the highways in America? You'll want to stay till the end of this one if you're a true car geek like me. The Impala made its first appearance in 1958. By the 1960s, the Impala was not only a fashionable car to drive, but also much more than that. That car was what families, racers, and dreamers all aimed to own one day. Chevrolet realized that people in America in the 60s wanted something beyond cars. They needed a car that would be commutable during weekdays to take the kids to school and then hit the highway on the weekend. The Impala was that flexible. Everyone knows that it was affordable, reliable, and came in designs that people liked. And in 1965, it was the first American car to set a sales record of more than 1 million cars sold that year. That's the equivalent to selling an Impala every 30 seconds. Sounds unreal, right? If you're already convinced by the Impala's record-breaking statistics, the like button is just below, and don't forget to share this with the rest of the car lovers out there. But the Impala wasn't just a sales king, it was a performance beast, thanks to a lineup of incredible engines. If you're a gearhead like me, this is where it gets exciting. The Impala came with multiple engine options, but none more legendary than the 409 V8. This engine, immortalized by the Beach Boys in their song 409, could produce up to 425 horsepower. That is a lot of power for a car that was meant to be both a daily driver and a street racer. The 409 wasn't just fast, it was a torque monster, perfect for street racing. It could go from 0 to 60 in just over 6 seconds, which might not seem like a very fascinating number, but for the time, that was lightning fast. Street racers and car enthusiasts alike couldn't get enough of it. It wasn't just a car, it was a performance statement. But Chevy didn't stop there. If the 409 wasn't enough, later models offered engines like the 396 and 427, turning the Impala into a speed demon. And for those who wanted a smoother, more practical ride, there were options like the 283 cubic inch V8, perfect for everyday driving. Whether you were cruising the streets or tearing down the drag strip, the Impala gave you the power and control to do it all. It was a jack of all trades, and its market performance should sound reasonable enough to you now. What's your pick, the legendary 409 or the bigger, badder 427? Drop a comment below and let me know your choice. Now, it's not just performance, it's the product that counts. The Impala was as much of an attraction for the eye as it was for its muscles. It was of adequate length, narrow, and low structure so people couldn't help but notice it. The geometry of this car was defiant and very slim. It was the ruler of the road. And those dual headlights, they gave it a fierce, predatory look that made it seem ready to strike at any moment. But the highlight had to be at the back. No car of the year can get away with not having those 3 horizontal sticker taillights. As soon as they caught the first glimpse of the taillights, people knew it was an Impala. The Impala was already iconic, even though back then people might not have realized it. As it would be quickly seen, the interior of the Impala was as comfortable as it looked on the outside. Inside, it was roomy, had comfortable seats, and boasted an uber-cool instrument panel regardless of whether one was going to the drag strip or the supermarket. Trim levels above the base model included the Super Sport or SS, which had bucket seats and a console that ran from the front to the back of the car, giving it a look typical of a sports car, though it was a full-size sedan. Oh, and let's not leave out the convertibles. How many of these transformed automobiles will be for show and not be able to be converted from a proper convertible? The Impala convertible couldn't be more ideal for top-down, windows-rolled-down cruising with great music. It wasn't just a car you got into. Well, at least in my case it was, but I suppose it was much more than that too. If you could choose a 60s Impala, which one would it be? The Chevelle, the SS 396, the Impala Super Sport, or the Impala? Standard sedan or convertible? Let me know in the comments. The Impala took over pop culture too. You've probably seen it in more TV shows and movies than you can count. But one of the most famous appearances has to be the black 1967 Impala in Supernatural. The Winchester's baby is as much a character in the show as Sam and Dean themselves. That Impala represents loyalty, strength, and American muscle. Everything we love about this car. The Impala was also a big deal in lowrider culture, especially in Los Angeles. By the late 1960s and into the 70s, lowrider enthusiasts were modifying their Impalas with custom paint jobs, hydraulics, and chrome wheels. These cars became rolling works of art, bouncing down the streets with those signature hydraulics. It became the symbol of Chicano culture and an essential part of the lowrider scene. Have you ever seen a lowrider Impala in action? It's an incredible sight, like watching a piece of art in motion. What set the Chevy Impala apart from any other car of the decade is simple. The Impala had it all. They began looking not only at performance capabilities and style, but at what choices were available. Chevy gave various trims, engines, and features for everyone. The Chevy was available in multiple trim levels and engine options, and it had different features. If you're a family car user, a racer, or a lowrider fan, then there was an Impala for you. The attributes of the Impala made it the car of choice for anybody and everybody in society. The old style was simple and cheap, while everything in the new style seemed cheap but looked costly. Even though it was inspirational, it was also quite useful. And the best part, it was cool. Like the 4T, it wasn't just a car you possessed, but being an Impala owner transported one to a realm of feeling like an overlord of the road. And that is why the Impala outsold all other cars for 6 straight years during the 1960s. It wasn't just the most successful Justice League marketing campaign. It was among the most successful comic marketing campaigns ever. Today, this 60s Impala is still one of the many sought-after collector's items in the US. Having one is not simply owning a fancy car, it's owning the history of America. As I've just outlined in brief, the Chevy Impala was more than just a car of the 1960s. It was the car. This vehicle is a legend, and it's rightfully considered so, starting with stunning engines and ending with a time-proof design. Whether it be the higher-end 409, the sleek 283 coupes, or the elegant super sports model, people fell in love with the Impala and paved the way for automotive history. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, hit that like button and share this video with your fellow car lovers. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more epic stories about iconic cars. Do you have a favorite Impala story or your own dream car? I'd love to hear about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and remember, the Chevy Impala isn't just a car. It's a living, breathing part of American culture.